Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Well. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Set Sports and Entertainment from time to time. I am Scooby, your host. This is the last week of the NFL season. It is here. Has it gone by fast or what? It always seems like it's going by pretty good, and then poof, it's over. Week 17 it is. Playoffs will begin promptly next week. There are some teams still in a playoff hunt today. So this is going to be my Week 17 picks. I do plan on doing a playoff show, once the field is locked in. So stay tuned for when that will be. And I will actually going to do a real show and open it up to calls and so forth, and hopefully get some participation. If you have any ideas of what's a good time for you, just let me know. Probably thinking Friday night, maybe Saturday morning. I'll have to see how my schedule works out, but I will definitely be doing it. And if it's at a proper time, I'll open it up to calls and make it it's going to be a live show either way. It's just it might not be live for many of you, depending on when I come on. As you know, most of these picks have come at the wee early times of the morning. But here we are live. It is 10:46 a.m. on Week 17 of the NFL season. Let's get to it. Now, last week I did go 11-5, 2 back-to-back decent weeks, kind of coming back. Stopped had a couple weeks there, just try to get a little bit too silly, too contrarian, and just stopped, kind of picking for real. Overall record goes up to 144-95. So if I can avoid losing 5 games this week, I will not have 100 losses on the season, which is pretty darn good. Now, Week 17 is almost as difficult to pick as Week 1, simply because you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know necessarily who's going to play. You have a pretty good idea for some of these teams, but some of these teams actually, you would think are going to rest players, but some still have chances at better seeding. Some teams get chances still to get in the playoffs. The Colts with the least probable opportunity to get in the playoffs. I think they need like 10 different things to happen, including the Red Sea being parted again. It's going to be nearly impossible for them to make the playoffs, which is fine by me. Other key teams, Steelers, of course, choked last week against the Ravens and promptly knocked themselves out of a playoff spot. They can get back in by virtue of them winning today against Cleveland, which they should be able to do, but they should have been able to beat the Ravens last week. The Jets also will need to lose to Buffalo. So I know my Steeler fans out there are pulling for those two things to happen. Washington's pretty much has their spot locked up. Nothing can really change for them. Chiefs, they're in their spot. Nothing really changed for them. Now the Vikings and Packers are the 8:30 game tonight. That will be for the NFC North Division. So there's a lot on the line there, and it is in Green Bay. We'll get to that. But pretty much most everything else is set. And so without further ado, let's get right to it. Now, ignore that photograph on your screen. All right. On the slot today, we have the Jaguars traveling into the Texans. The Texans are pretty much a lock for the playoffs today. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going with the Texans to kind of finish off the deal. Great rebound by this team. They started off really slowly this year and managed to come back, and they will win this division title, barring an utter collapse. Well, I mean, they could lose to Jacksonville, I guess, but I think they're still in. So let's take Texans in this one. As I touched on, next up, we got the Steelers travel to Cleveland. The Cleveland looks like they are going to once again fire our coach and general manager, which is Cleveland's MO this time. Have a coach and GM for about 1 or 2 years and then fire them. If you want to know why teams remain in a constant state of losing, look no further, ladies and gentlemen, than the Cleveland Browns. And I warn all Buccaneer fans and people that are calling for Lovie Smith's head to pay close attention to what is going on in Cleveland. Firing coaches and general managers every 2 years does nothing but lead you to perpetual losing seasons. At some point, you've got to hope that you have picked the right people and give them a chance to do their thing. This constant need for immediate gratification in the NFL is driving me absolutely crazy. There used to be, Parcells used to take over. Hey, I've got a 5-year plan, although you normally do it in about 3. Those days are gone. It's like if you don't do anything your first year or even your second year, you're toast. And I can't, you look back and think of all the coaches that if they were only given 2 years, things would be a lot different. I mean, I'll go back as far as like Tom Landry. Tom Landry, when he was hired at the Dallas Cowboys, he was a losing coach for 5 years until that 6th year when the Cowboys really turned it around and went to the NFC Championship game, and that was the famous Ice Bowl year in 1968. But I mean, a coach like Tom Landry would not last in today's NFL. You cannot go 5 seasons with a losing record, and that's reasonable. I can accept that. But going 1 or 2 years is just give a staff a chance to kind of get on a roll. Get things established and try to do their thing. I think by the 3rd year, that's when you maybe start looking, okay, are things really turning around, or are they just stagnant, or are they just getting worse? But anyway, I won't go on. That's another part, another show. Maybe we'll talk about it. But anyway, I'm going to go with the Steelers here over the Browns today. Steelers got everything to play for. There should be no holds barred today. I think they're going to go light it up. Cleveland's defense is horrific, and the Steelers just they got to make it happen. Bad thing for them is that they're going to have to be scoreboard watching. That could change some things. If the Jets end up start off strong and blow out the Bills, which is also the next game, and I am picking the Jets to win this one. The Steelers are going to be looking on the outside, and maybe they'll just roll over. But I look for the Jets to beat Buffalo today. They are in Buffalo, but the Jets know that they have to win to maintain their playoff spot. Jets win, they're in. That's all there is to it. Steelers need the Jets to lose, and they need to win to get in. So, unfortunately, I do like the Steelers to win, but I believe the Jets will also win and keep the Steelers out of the playoffs, which my preseason prediction was that the Steelers would not make the playoffs. Next up, we got the Patriots visiting South Florida. Wouldn't mind have gone to that game, but not for Week 17. The Patriots are sitting a lot of guys again this week, but I think that things are such a disarray in Miami that they can still have enough to beat Miami. Patriots still do have a little bit to play for. They do have the number 1 overall seed to play for yet. So look for the Patriots to at least do enough to probably win this game today. We can go into all this conspiracies about last week, but in my personal opinion, I believe the Patriots did lay down last week. They did everything they could to try not to beat the Jets. If that wasn't evident in the overtime, I don't know what is, but I think that the Patriots knew what was on the line, that if they lost, if the Jets won, and with the Steelers losing, that the Steelers would be out of the playoffs. So I am 99% certain that the Patriots were kind of going through the motions last week. And if you really look at some of the game film, there were times Tom Brady just kind of fell to the ground rather than take a hit. You can say he was just trying to preserve himself. I'm sure part of that is true, but the other part is that they just didn't care enough to win, because if it meant something, he's not going to just go down like that. So my opinion is that the Patriots did purposely more or less throw a game last week as best that they could without being too obvious until the overtime, for the sole purpose of keeping the Steelers out. And I believe that because although the Steelers are horrible on defense, out of all the teams in the AFC that are going to be in the playoffs right now due to all the injuries and so forth, I believe that the Steelers are really the only team offensively and health-wise that can compete with the Patriots. And, not that the Patriots wouldn't be able to put up points on that Steelers defense, but I believe that Steelers could equally put up points on the Patriots if the two should have had to meet in the playoffs. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Otherwise, I think offensively, experience-wise and so forth, the Patriots will have a pretty clear path to the Super Bowl, barring any major incidents happening. It looks they're going to hold out everybody again this week, and looks like most everybody will be back 2 more weeks, because the Patriots do have a first week bye. They should be nice and healthy for the most part, going to have all their weapons back, they'll be ready to roll. So I'll look for the Patriots to find a way to win today. So let's continue moving on. Titans traveled to Indianapolis. That team is just awful. They kind of fell apart and look for the new coaching change and so forth going on there. I think the Colts will find a way to win, because they too will also be looking for a new coach. I think it's been pretty clear for a long time that Pagano is going to be out in Indianapolis. But just like Indianapolis found a way to win last week against Miami, this could be a field goal fest, enough for the Colts to beat the Titans. Next up, we have the Ravens traveling the Bengals. The Ravens are really bad, but they found a way to beat their rivals, Pittsburgh, and hand it to them. They can hang their hat on that. I think Bengals have a little something more to play for today. They want to continue to roll a little bit. A.J. McCarron's going to have to play, get some, continue to get some experience. So I do like the Bengals to kind of give it a shot today and find enough way to win. Although there's nothing left to play for, Washington can finish 8-8 or 9-7. It doesn't matter. Their position as the NFC East champions will not change. Their playoff position will not change. They will host a playoff game next week. Their opponent will be yet to be determined. The Cowboys are an absolute mess. Even Washington, I guess, unless Washington really sits all their guys and plays like RG3 or something, I don't think Dallas has a chance to win this game. I think they quit and they're pretty much done. So I like the Reds Washington in this game. Next up, you have the Saints traveling to Atlanta. I think this has nothing but pride on the line, I guess, for the Falcons. Want to try to finish 9-7. I look for them to finish 8-8. Next up, we got Lions going to travel for the Bears. Another meaningless game. Bears are at home. They may be looking to kind of finish strong a little bit. Detroit's had a couple bad breaks this season. A couple different things happened for them. Could be a different season for them. I'm going to look for them to play hard today to finish out and beat the Lions today. Eagles traveled to the Giants. Eagles got rid of Chip Kelly this week in a surprising move. I really just thought Philadelphia would, at least give the guy the last game of the season. I mean, what was the purpose of firing him with one game to go? I'm not sure what that accomplishes. Chip Kelly's going to land somewhere. I strongly believe it's going to be back in college game, though. The Chip Kelly experiment. Thankful the Bucks, he backed out on the Bucks a few years ago, because the Bucks would, probably be in the same position they are today. I'm going to look for the Giants to take this one today. The Giants got a little bit more to play for, I guess, pride-wise. Beckham will be back. The Eagles' secondary is horrible. Just too much mayhem going on, I think, with Chip Kelly being fired this week, that the Eagles might lay down. which is ironic because the Giants have always been known to have their players lay down. Anyhow, I laugh at my own bad jokes. Next up, we have the Rams and 49ers. I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. It's really not worth talking about. Last game for the Buccaneers this season, travel up to Carolina. I think Carolina may still play today because they do want to lock in the number 1 overall seed. Should they lose and the Cardinals win today, I believe the Cardinals would get the number 1 overall seed. So Carolina still has a little bit to play for today. But it's hard to say. I haven't heard anything. I haven't checked to find out if Carolina's going to be sitting guys or not. If I were Carolina, I think I'd probably just back it down a bit and sit Cam and the boys. They're hurting right now, especially at running back. Jonathan Stewart's still out. I'm still going to take Carolina over the Buccaneers today. I think the Buccaneers are in a better spot if they do lose today as far as the draft goes. The Buccaneers got the 6 wins that I figured they'd get this year, so I guess I'd be okay if they were to lose today. It'd be nice for them to finish 7-9, though. I gotta admit, but I gotta look long term for this Buccaneer team. 6-10 finish is better for them. Get better draft pick, and they're gonna need all the help they can in the draft this season. So I'm picking Carolina in this one. Raiders travel to the Chiefs. Chiefs got nothing left to play for. I think the Chiefs are going to be resting guys today, or be playing some different key components. I'm not sure how hard they're going to try today, so I'm going to take the Raiders in this one to win this game just for that factor alone. If the Chiefs had a little bit more to play for, I would definitely be going with the Chiefs. They're on fire right now. Next up, Chargers travel to Denver. I think Denver does have things to play for. They're also trying to get that number 1 overall seed. They're back in position with the Patriots loss last week. I think even if they weren't, the Broncos are better than the Chargers. I like the Broncos. The Cardinals taking on traveling Seahawks come to town. I like the Cardinals in this matchup. I think the division's theirs already. The Cardinals are looking to get that number 1 seed. I'm not sure though. Carson Palmer, they may sit him with that thumb. I think it's going to have to be a game flow decision. We're going to have to see what transpires. 4 o'clock rolls around. They're not going to be able to know because Carolina also plays at 4 o'clock. So they're going to have to at least play. I think it's going to have to do some scoreboard watching. I think if it looks like Carolina's blowing out the Buccaneers or something like that, Carolina may back off. I still think the Cardinals are better than the Seahawks, and I look for the Cardinals to win this game today. Last but not least, as I already touched on, 8:30 game tonight for the division title, the NFC North division title. Vikings travel to Green Bay. The Vikings are playing very well. Their defense is pretty hot, and Green Bay has been struggling pretty much all season. You have no idea what's going to go on in that backfield. 1 week it's Jonathan Starks, and next week it's Eddie Lacy. Last week they benched Starks and played Lacy. The week before that they benched Lacy, played Starks. God, I can't believe I just about said Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers is I'm sorry, he's just not playing well this season. It's not simply because they've missed Nelson. I mean, there's more to it. There's just more going on there. The Green Bay is just struggling offensively, but I think that they maybe pull it together today. The Vikings also struggling offensively. I just don't know what to do in this game, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Green Bay. I think the game could very well go either way. So there you have it. We have Week 17 picks are in, and I appreciate everybody listening. Again, stay tuned. I will be doing a playoff show once, probably next week, Friday, Saturday or so, as the playoffs get set. I'll make that decision, see how my week goes. I'm actually going to be, I just realized I'm going to be scheduled to be out of town, so I'm going to have to really try to figure out a way to get a show in. We'll see what happens. I'll figure something out. Anyway, stay tuned for that. thank you for all for paying attention and listening. Got Tampa Bay storm season coming up really soon as well. Some other things on tap. Will be a guest spot on another radio show, Open Mic Live, potentially this week. So stay tuned for more about that. So everybody, today, it's a nice, cool Sunday out there. A little overcast. Enjoy the day today. Have a great Sunday, everybody. As always, Scuba signing out for 2 Cents Sports and Entertainment. Have a great day.